guys, and welcome back to the Sokool Brothers Racing Podcast. I'm Justice Sokool Racing, or the Lawman.
And I'm Colby Sokool Racing, or a Little Smoke. And we also have a little special guest on our podcast this week, and he's a little racer dude. Track of the week. This week's track of the week is Myrtle Beach Speedway. It opened in 1958 and is located in South Carolina. It is a half-mile racetrack, and it is also on iRacing. I like running that track on iRacing just because you can learn a whole lot from it, and overall it's just a fun racetrack.
Yeah, it seems like it's a really fun racetrack to race at, and from the times I've practiced at it, I've done really good, but it's going to be something to have to take a while to learn the track, be able to get a hang of it, so that if I ever go race at that racetrack, I can do good and I have a chance to get that, but it's going to take a lot of practice, and I'll think if I'm going to find someone to practice, I think it'll be you, because you ran that track in your Junior Late Model Esports race yesterday, and you did a good job, and I think it's just going to be awesome for when someday maybe I race that track on iRacing.
Yeah, and overall, I think the biggest thing I learned from it was patience. The track for the cars I ran there was kind of big. At least I thought it was, and I thought I was like, okay, I can get on the gas early here. But then every time you do it, you just go up there and hit the wall. So it's one of those things that if you learn patience for it, then it'll be a lot better for it. But overall, it's just a fun racetrack, and I'd recommend you guys to go check it out and try and race it on iRacing.
Yep. Part of the week. This week's part of the week is the front axle. The front axle is a very important part on the race car because it houses several different components. There are many attachments like rods, spindles, shocks, and more. The spindles are connected to each end of the axles by kingpins, and attached to those is the hubs that our tires mount on and a long rod called the tie rod. Attached to the left side of the axle on the spindle is a rod called the drag link, and that rod goes from the spindle to our steering rack, and that helps control the ability to steer the car. Like I said, the axle is just a really important part on the race car because if you didn't have it on the race car, you wouldn't be able to race it around the track because you wouldn't have front tires on the car and the front end would just be dragging on the ground. So it's a very important part on the race car and it just needs to be on there.
Yeah, like you said, it's a very important part. Without it, you wouldn't be able to steer. You basically wouldn't be able to race, period, just because that thing is so important. They're just the same thing as the rear axle and all that other stuff on there. If you don't have it there, then you can't race because your car will just be sitting down there and you can't drive it with scraping up mud and stuff like that. But it's just a really cool and really important part on the race car.
Yep.
It was week 3 of the Junior Late Model Esports League, and this week we're at Myrtle Beach Speedway. I qualified 19th, so that means in Heat 1 I started 10th, and I finished 9th place, which was a transfer spot into the A-Main. In the A-Main I started 19th, but there was a lot of cautions. I don't know what it is there, but every caution, it was just like there was like 8 laps or something like that just rolling around the racetrack, and I think that's one of the things that they couldn't fix it just because that's the way iRacing has it, which means the race took a while and ended up timing out at lap 77, so I finished 16th place. So it was a good run. I think definitely at least this time I didn't get disqualified like I have for last week's because of incident points. It's just one of those things I need to qualify up towards the front more, which means I can start up there and not be in the back where all the wrecks are and all the cautions and stuff like that. I definitely learned a lot and had a lot of fun, and I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, like you said, you definitely learned a lot, and it's different. It seems like it's a lot of work, a lot of time and effort that you have to put in before you get to the day of that race. I bet you that most of those drivers, like you and some of the other drivers, they're on there a few hours before, getting on there practicing, getting ready for that race. But it just seems like it was very challenging. Like you had to be very patient, like you said before. And I don't know, it just seems like it's gonna be something, like I said, that I have to. Like, if I ever race there, I'd have to learn from you, one of the people who's actually driven there and learned a lot. But you definitely have improved from the last 2 races you've been in, and you've done it a lot better than those times.
Yeah, thank you, Justice. And I think just the big thing is practice, practice, practice. Same thing as all the other sports and everything out there. If you want to get better at it, you had to practice. And I've been really trying to put a lot of practice in, getting some sessions in with Logan Seavey, he's really helped me a lot. And this week was my first time with an actual spotter. No offense, Justice, but he was great there. Chris Wheeler, he did an awesome job just spotting me out there, and I definitely had a lot of fun with him, and I can't wait for next week.
Yep, it's going to be awesome being able to watch you do that race next week. Next week on Monday, I'm going to be in the Now 600 360 at Eldora race. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been putting in some practice laps practicing running around the track, making sure I'm gonna get dialed in for getting ready for that race, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We haven't learned much about it yet, other than just about what the race is gonna be doing, and when we find out what it will be viewed on, we'll let you guys know, and hopefully you guys are gonna be able to watch it.
Yeah, well, good luck, Justin. He needs some practice laps. You'll be doing awesome, so hopefully you can go out there and kick some butt in the race. I know you will.
Yeah, thank you, and that's the plan. Go out there and kick some butt. Sponsor of the week. This week's sponsor of the week is Micron Tom. Micron Tom started in Arizona when he saw an ad for Micron. In 2003, he was transferred to Oklahoma, but what he didn't know is that he was transferred to the heart of microsprint racing. He got himself into microsprint racing, but no one knew what a Micron was. So then he fixed himself up a Micron 3 to fit in his 600 microsprint. Then everybody started getting interested in what the product was, so then they started wanting to get into the Microns, getting them into their car. So then the whole deal started growing, and eventually people started calling him Micron Tom. Then his name started to grow, and everybody was like, man, I want that product in my car because it seems like it's going to be an awesome product. A lot of people use it, and it is an awesome product. We use it in our 600 microsprint, the MXM Micron, and it's just an awesome product, like I said, to have in our car. Because instead of having to look at some gauges to read what your car is doing, all you have to do is just look at this little screen in your car, and you can see what your RPM is, oil pressure, temperature, a whole bunch of stuff. But when you know what the lights mean, all you have to do is just look at those lights and be like, okay, something's wrong with this car, let's shut it off, pull it in the infield so we don't hurt the car. And it's just an awesome product, and it will save you a lot so something doesn't happen to the car while you're racing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff you can do off track with it too. I mean, we download the data from the Micron onto our computer, and we can check lambda, throttle positioning, where we are on the racetrack, RPM. All that stuff is just so much you can do on track, like you said, and so much to be aware of, and it can help you with a lot. But even a bunch of that stuff off track, and Micron Tom, he knows exactly what to do to fix them, what to do to them. When he comes down to the shootout every year, he has a couple of guys there just because he has so many people running his stuff, and I'm like, I know a bunch of people that actually run his stuff, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know. Like, he is such a big brand, and I remember the first time going down to Port City, he was there and he helped me and you and even my dad out with the Micron stuff, and he even gave me some driver pointers, and I'll never forget that. I mean, he's just a great guy. We have a great relationship with him. And Micron Tom, you're such an amazing guy. What you do for all the racers out there is just amazing, and just you rock. Just thank you.
Yeah, when you come off the track, all you have to do is just download all the data to the computer, and you're able to read what your lambda was, what your RPM was, see where you were on the track, your throttle positioning, a whole bunch of stuff, and it helps you get the car dialed in for the next session you're going out for, the next time you may even be there. It's just an awesome product to have in our race cars, like we said, and thank you very much. Until next time, the Lawman
And Lil Smoke
out. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.